We're here today with City Manager Sammy Rich and Rome Finance Director Tony Reinhardt. Like the U.S. Census, which is taken every 10 years, the state of Georgia mandates that cities and counties across the state update their sales tax formula, their distribution formula, at least once every 10 years, and now is the time for Rome and Floyd County. Sammy, as I understand it, Rome and Floyd County and Cave Spring have not changed the formula since it was established nearly 30 years ago.
That's correct, Doug. As far as any of us who work here know, we've operated on the same arrangement, and that's Rome at 41.7%, Floyd County at 56.5%, and then, of course, Cave Spring at 1.8%. And that has been in place, and again, it's renewed each decade, and so it's worked, and the county's continued to agree with the city, and so and now here we are again.
Tony, tell us a little bit about how important the local option sales tax revenue is to Rome and Cave Spring and Floyd County.
The lost is extremely important to the general fund for the city of Rome. Of the $31.9 million budget for the general fund, 7.7 is lost, and that is about 24% of our budget.
And of course, the fact that we get this local option sales tax revenue is critically important to the property taxes that citizens and businesses pay.
Without the sales tax revenue, that money would have to come from somewhere, and that would come from property taxes. So the sales tax definitely is a help to the property taxes that people pay.
Now, as I understand it, Sammy, the state stipulates that there are 8 criteria for establishing the formula, not just population like many cities and counties use. I think that you have discovered just in recent months some point of sales data that I think is pretty interesting and is one of the factors that can be considered when establishing this formula.
That's a great point. So we, as a city, we've long wanted to work with our friends at the State Department of Revenue to be able to capture data to know exactly what's generated, where does it come from, how does that look in our community, so it gives us more tools to better manage. And so forever, we've been very limited. And so we've engaged a consultant who has helped us with our lost report this year. And so by looking at U.S. Census data and looking at Department of Revenue data, we've been able to calculate. And so for the first time, we've got a pretty comprehensive look of what is actually making up this community's local option sales tax. And so the reality is about 70% of those revenues are generated inside the city limits of Rome.
And of course, another part of the formula is the daytime population. Our daytime population really swells in Rome when services are typically the most needed.
That's exactly the case. And so, and part of the beauty of Rome, we know this, we don't have interstate access, so Rome's always been its own regional hub. And so what we see is about 20,000 folks who drive into the community each day. And of course, we have some that leave to go out of the community for work, but about 68% of the employees in our community work inside the city of Rome. And so your daytime population swells to around 50,000 persons per day. And so more people demand more service and puts a greater strain on the city budgets.
As I understand it, there is a deadline of August 26th for the city and county and Cave Spring to get together on a new distribution formula. What happens in the event that we can't reach an agreement on this formula?
So great question. So the way the law stipulated, once the negotiations have kicked off, and that's what we are, we met with our partners at the county in Cave Spring yesterday. So by August 26th, if we don't have an agreement or a tentative agreement, we basically are headed to finding an arbitrator. And so the arbitrator's job will be to help us reach a decision. Of course, there's not animosity in this negotiation in the sense that we've got over 30 intergovernmental agreements with the county. So we all know that we are going to work this out. I'm very optimistic of that. In the case that we don't come to an agreement or reach an agreement without the help of an arbitrator, we will kick that off late August. And so at the end of the day, we've got till the end of this calendar year to have a new distribution, or to have an agreement of a distribution and have that in place with the state. And so the clock is ticking. And we're hoping that we're going to get this worked out sooner than later.